Hey everyone, just a quick heads up. This episode is best experienced on a computer. We'll be sharing our screen and walking through some live examples using this Link software, so you'll get the most value by watching along on a computer. If you're listening to the podcast, no worries. We'll do our best to describe what we're doing, but definitely check it out on YouTube or your desktop browser. Let's dive in.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey.
I like recording a bit earlier. To be honest, I feel like I have more energy. I feel like more focus. Elon definitely looks happier, which is not 10 p.m. at night for him. Right now, it's what, 6 p.m.?
It's about 6:12 right now.
And how many glasses of wine? After how many glasses of wine are you?
None yet. Thankfully, none yet. Today was a nice busy day. We went and visited a few different villages, went to a couple churches, ate a couple tuna sandwiches. So today was a good day.
Amazing.
Yeah,
no sick baby. Everyone is healthy.
That's it. That's it. It's complete. Yeah, they let us sleep last night. So that's another big hurrah.
Wonderful.
I'm happy that Paulo and I are still not there, but yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Especially now. Thankfully for these headphones. This isn't for you and us. It's for me not to hear the baby screaming.
Doesn't want to go to sleep, huh?
Everybody's taking a bath right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So today we're gonna kind of like continue what we did last week. We're gonna dive in some 8Ks. Paulo can give a refreshment about what an 8K and why is it important to keep track of the 8Ks and those financials documents by the company. So Paulo, really quick, give us a quick reminder about what's an 8K. And then we can jump into some examples. I know you prepared in advance, so yeah, let's do it.
Definitely, yeah. So let's pick it up right where we left it last week. Just quickly, an 8K is pretty much a way that company updates investors with events that are material and that are happening between reporting periods. So it's pretty much that. It's a way for companies to communicate important events to investors. That's the quick version of it. With that in mind, let's jump into some of the examples that I brought for this week's podcast, just so we can try to show you a little bit on what an 8K is, where's the value, what can you get out of it, when it's good, when it's bad. We spoke last week about good types of 8Ks and bad types of 8Ks, or ones that are worth reading and ones that are not worth reading. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So let me share my screen real quick so you guys can see this. Okay, wonderful. So starting from the basis of the 8K, I went around and looked for some 8Ks. Some of them I actually got from the tool from one of the companies that we were tracking back. I think it was like 2-3 episodes ago where we started to put some companies in our software. So I got some out of that. Okay, so the first one that I want to go over is this one for this company, AB International Group Corp. ABQQ is the ticker, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the layout. This is how an 8K looks. All right, so this is a template. This is going to be the same for every company that you see. The date, of course, is going to change. The name of the company is going to be different, the ticker and whatever, but it's the same. And that's the job of the SEC, and what the rules about the filings are is that pretty much every company is disclosing the same information, at least the same kind of information, and no one is actually skipping over any information. Okay, so
Real quick, guys. We have a new guest for just.
I love it.
just giving you a heads up.
Just a pop up. I love it. Hey there, Joey.
He really wants to learn about 8Ks.
I love it.
Beautiful.
I've been telling this little guy how important it is to follow our investments, to really understand what some of these companies are putting out there, and he really wants to see it. Right?
I can see that. He's very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
teaching him the
So,
ropes since a very early age. That's a good idea.
Uh,
He's gonna be a
Joey,
monster
there you
when,
go. You're
yeah.
learning from the right people, from Paolo. I'm not talking about me and David. I'm talking about Paolo. Whatever me and David are saying, just do the opposite. Paolo, you can trust.
Exactly. And by the way, and real quick on the AK side, I did a very quick kind of ChatGPT, Google Gemini search on like AK triggering events and so on. And just to read off the list, so it's when a company's entering into or terminating any material definitive agreements, whether there's a bankruptcy or receivership, completion of an acquisition or disposition of assets, results of operations, financial condition, creation of a direct financial obligation, changes in accountants, which we've seen a lot lately, changes in control of the company, departure or appointment of directors of certain officers, amendments to the company's certificate of incorporation or bylaws, delisting from securities exchanges, unregistered sales of equity securities, which is another one that comes up often, material cybersecurity incidents, and some other events that the company deems of importance to security holders. So
I think we should definitely add in the notes, that list with description, because you went through this. I understood probably like 70, 80% of the list, but there is another 20,
definitely.
30%. And I'm sure that some of the listeners would not be familiar with most of the stuff you just talked about. So that's important to add in the notes.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right, Paulito, Joy is waiting for you.
Okay. So and just as a plus, if I'm not mistaken, I think the company has 4 days from the material event to file the 8K.
That's
we talked
correct,
about it
yeah.
last week that we didn't know. Well, it's 4 days from the material event. After that,
I think it popped up in one of the questions with the attorneys that we spoke to about this company and the merger, right? Like, I think that's when we realized that. Yeah, I remember we had this question and we had this call with one of the attorneys. Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah.
I remember all of us smiling at each other, and they just don't understand why. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's read through this 8K real quick. All right. So, in the item part, you're gonna see what the 8K actually is, and you can see over here that it's one of the items that David mentioned right a couple of minutes ago. It's an entry into a material definitive agreement. Now, this is just a blanket description of what the 8K is about. Sometimes the material definitive agreement can be millions of things. It could be a consulting agreement. It could be a letter of intent with another company for a merger or for a license, or it can be issuances of shares. It can be issuances of convertible debt, of the straight debt, or whatever. So this is just like the blanket kind of a statement of what the 8K is about. Okay. So if we read through it, it says that on May 15, 2025, which was a couple of weeks ago, this particular company, AB International Group, entered into a securities purchase agreement with another entity. In this occasion, it's Anyone Pictures Limited. What that is, I don't know, but it's another entity where they purchased 1.75 billion shares of common stock at 0.002 per share, and the company received a total of $350,000. So right out of the bat, we can see that the company issued some shares. Whether that's good or bad, it depends on the particular situation of the company, right? For example, let's go through how I would look at it. Okay. So shares.
Joey's asking where's the price of the stock today?
Yeah. So that's actually one of the first things that I would look at. Okay. So we can see that the company issued shares at 0.002 per share. So where's the stock right now? So just taking a quick look, the stock price is trading, and let's look at it. All right. So let's
you can actually put it into, you can even go in our dashboard. You can go into David's link and look at the liquidity tracker.
Let's look at it. What's it? AQQ, right? AB International Group. So let's look at daily over the last month.
Okay.
Well, we can see that there's not really a lot of volume. Definitely can't handle 1.75 billion shares. That's one thing. And then the other one, you can see that the BWAP has been very well above the share price, which was 0002. So if the VWAP, let's say for yesterday was 0004, then that's pretty much 100% return on that issuance of shares. Um, so I would look at that and say, you know what? If I'm a shareholder, I wouldn't like the company to be issuing shares below the market price at the moment. So,
So I'm really,
There is not enough liquidity to support that transaction,
but
which means
yeah, go ahead.
which means if they're going to try to sell, that's going to completely destroy the stock. I don't think they can even get out of that position.
yes and no. I think, the analysis kind of becomes more complex as we go through it, right? So, it's 0004, it's pretty much a 100% return. So at first glance, you would say, hey, this company's diluting, it's bad, it's whatever. But if you look at the amount of shares, it's actually quite substantial amount of shares with another entity that seems to be a company. So then my next question would be, what if this issuance of shares, it's because they're going to purchase an asset? And instead of the company paying cash out front, they're going to pay them in shares. And of course, the shares need to be valued. There needs to be a purchase price. So we can say that the purchase price is this $350,000 that the company gave them in shares. So the company, the buyer, Anyone Pictures Limited, they might not be unloading the shares in the market right away. So that's another kind of side that we can look at it.
I have so many questions. I have so many questions, right? So if I'm looking at this, the first thing I'm looking at is, well, on our dashboard, when was this disclosed?
May 15, 2025. It was the date
It
of
was
the
it was the date of the 8K
Yeah,
or the date of the SPA?
it's the date of the 8K.
The date of the 8K was May 15th. Okay. And so wow, so they actually
Or was
reported
it?
it. So they reported this the same day? That's pretty good.
I don't think that's correct. Let me check. I have it over here in my notes. Now, the 8K was filed on May 27, 2025.
Okay, so May 27, 2025, and the actual purchase was on May 15th, so that's 13 days later, couple days of weekend, maybe a couple days to pay the attorney to write the AK, and they tried to get it within those 4 days, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to them. So my first
It's
question would
for
really be
European days.
exactly, especially in France.
Yeah.
My question would first be who's Anyone Pictures Limited, right? Like what is that? Is that an investor? Is that a company? Like you mentioned, like there's assets, there's something that the issuer is doing with these guys, Anyone Pictures Limited. I mean, that to me sounds, I don't know. It's a picture company. Why would they buy 1.75 billion shares of this 0004, 0003 company? I have no idea.
So
That's
how
a
do
good
we find
question.
out? I think maybe we should Google Anyone Picture Limited.
You can Google. You can also go down to the attachment to this thing. Let's say so you have a securities purchase agreement right there that they attach to the 8K. Let's see if we could put some pieces together here and understand who these oh, that's great, Hong Kong.
Actually, AB International Group Corp, yeah, it's a Hong Kong company. So
Uh-huh.
they are both Hong Kong companies.
Interesting. But these guys are in Mount Kisco, New York, AB. So you have somebody from Hong Kong that just bought 1.75 billion shares at 0002 for a purchase price of $350,000 to this company. Who's the name? If you go down to see if there's a name on the actual purchase. Yeah, it gives you all the details, right, in the purchase agreement about how when the shares are issued and so on.
Oh, look,
What
this
is
is
yeah.
the purchaser acknowledges that the securities issued shall not be registered pursuant to the Securities Act of 1933. So these shares are restricted securities. So we know that Anyone Pictures Limited cannot sell them, at least not now, not outright.
Correct.
So, it mentions here Rule 144, which, it's complicated. We can go into it in a later date, but it kind of gives investors a way to sell shares that are not registered through an S1.
Well, they're
Definitely
telling
a
you
good
that,
idea to do
yeah.
one episode just about exemptions, but it's important.
I think what we should do is actually bring an attorney that does a lot of legal opinion work and stuff like that can actually talk about with us about how, registrations work and exemptions from registrations work.
Love
I
it.
think that'd be a great way to go about it. So Anyone Pictures is Heidi Liu. She's the financial manager. I would try to go and look at the financials for AB International Group, their filings, see if Anyone Pictures has been previously involved with them, kind of understand what the relationship is if we can, do some Google searches to really understand, KYC, know your customer in some way. Especially if you're an investor, of course, right? If this is a company that you're looking to invest in, you really want to understand. We're not in a place or a time to trust anybody at the end of the day. You have to do your own homework and your own due diligence. You have to use gadgets that allow you to do so. So that's what we do, and that's how David Sling came about. So if it's me, that's how I would go about this. Like if I saw this type of AK come out, I would go right into it, right? And if I was interested into the company, I would go right in there and I would say, hey, let me look at the Qs, at the Ks, any other AKs, and work backward, right? Reverse engineer this.
Yeah. And, for example, here we saw the name of the financial manager of Anyone Pictures Limited. So that can kind of give you an idea of what's going on. And at least in the microcap space, there's a lot of people that, they're known for being scammers. They're known for being people that you don't want to get involved with. So if you look at the 8K and you see, hey, this is an individual, we don't know. Like, Ida Liu, I don't know who she is. But let's say that it was an individual that's been known for being a scammer, for, taking over companies and doing things that are not good for investors. So then you look at the 8K and say, you know what, I might not want to invest. Or if I'm an investor, maybe that's my signal to get out. Get out in time before.
And you can look at it as the other way around, right? Glass half. It could be good.
There's a lot of names that come up. Exactly, that they actually bring around very successful companies, and a lot of people made money thanks to them. So that can be a different type of sign. I think we should also do one episode about how to do due diligence about people, how to find more information about people, like the stuff that we do in our firm. I think we should teach the retail investors.
Yeah, definitely. And to your point, it's like that guy that was I don't know if it still is, but was CEO of Bed Bath and Beyond. I think his last name was Cohen. That he everywhere he went, the stock pumped. So when he became CEO of Bed Bath and Beyond, and they bought a sizable position of shares, a lot of retail investors flocked into the stock because they knew that it was going to pump, and it did for a bit before it collapsed, of course. But
I think you're talking about Ryan Cohen. Ryan Cohen. Yeah,
I think it's Ryan Cohen.
The Chewy guy and the GameStop.
And the GameStop, and then it's like everything. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you see, I'm sure that when he went into Bed Bath and Beyond, there was an 8K saying like, hey, this guy's taking a sizable position in the stock and is going to become interim CEO. So you look at it and say, hey, I want to get involved in the situation. So it goes both ways, and there's a lot of context to what we're saying. Like right now, we're just trying to figure out what's going on just from 8K, and the what we saw on Sling, and when we know about the company, and we're looking at the 8K. But there really is a lot of context to everything. So some things at first glance might seem bad, but if you go into the details, they're actually good. So just to let you guys know that financial analysis has a lot of moving parts, and you always have to look at every part before you make a decision. But this is interesting. This is one of the interesting cases that you can kind of find. There are a lot of types of 8Ks saying a lot of different things.
David, what does Joy think about this 8K?
Is he happy? Does he like it?
He would like to do a little more digging. He would like to research just a little bit more. Perhaps the last two kind of SEC filings, if there are any, and if they're current and so on, and really try to understand what's out there. But all in all, he thinks he's very happy. He was about to put all of his bar mitzvah money into the company, and now he's at least cautious.
That's good. That's good to know. Paulo, Joey is thanking you from the bottom of his heart.
That's the goal. If we can inform people and we can help them, then we did something right.
So let's go to another example. If you guys wanna go deeper in the rabbit hole, we can do that as well.
No, I think what we should do is dedicate just one episode, pick just one company, and do a deep dive on it. Like go to the filings, to the quarterlies, to the annuals, look at 8Ks, look at the different types of filings, what they're doing, if they've been diluting, how's the liquidity. We should do like a very deep dive on just one company on a different episode.
Fair enough. Okay.
So let's go through a different example of a different type of 8K. So I pulled this one again for this Nixie company. Ticker I think is NIXX for this one. So as you can see, template is pretty much the same. So let's scroll down a little bit and we can see what the item is. So this is what's called a Regulation FD disclosure. And what the Regulation FD, that type of label, is what companies use to disclose just general information to the public. So when you see the Regulation FD, and that's how I kind of look at it, I know that it's not going to be an 8K that is as juicy as an 8K with a different label. And let's read through it. Okay, so here it says that on May 23, 2025, the company issued a press release with saying that the company reports over 1.39 million in revenue in the first quarter following change in strategy. And they attached the press release that they issued. So right out of the bat, I wouldn't think that this 8K is very material, because they're pointing to a different press release, right? So there's no new information over here. And if we click on the exhibit, it's going to take us to the press release that was probably released either on the investor relations website or on a different news provider. There are a lot of news providers that companies hire. So this information is already elsewhere. And if I were to bet, I think the press release probably came out before the 8K. So this type of 8Ks, I don't really see a lot of value in them. Like it's interesting. It's good to know, but I don't think it has, the same power, the same juice as the 8K that we saw before.
The more important, as we mentioned from the beginning, it's all about kind of getting the information, the data right away, right? So if you're not first, you're last. And as you're mentioning, this press release was already filed, right? So it was already put out there to the world to know. So ideally, what we are working on and what we're going to have is access to press releases, right? So if this is a company that you're following, you'll be able to get all of their news releases as soon as they're out. So you would have already had this press release, and in the same kind of, tracking folder of the company, whatnot, you'll see that the 8K is coming out right after it too. So at least they're following the 8K, right? And they're doing, they're doing what they're supposed to do, but per the guidance of the SEC and the 34 Act, what companies are supposed to be doing, which is good. But the content of it, you already know.
Yeah, and just to further that point, the 8K was filed on May 28 and the press release was done on May 23. So that's 5-day difference from the press release to the 8K. So by the time you read the 8K, you're already late. And these type of 8Ks, not every company does it. Like it's not common for companies to to put out 8Ks just to let people know that they filed a press release. They most of the times they just file the press release and call it a day. Like these are the types of 8Ks that, are not strictly necessary for companies to file. Some of them do, some of them don't. And from our experience, companies usually file these types of 8Ks because they want to draw eyes to the stock. So let's say that you saw a press release, and then you get an email alert from David Sling that the company filed an 8K. So you go ahead and look at the company, and that happens with with us, but with every other investor out there. So it's kind of we like to see this 8Ks as just a way to grab attention. They're not saying anything really interesting. If they're saying that they're reporting revenue in Q1, you're probably going to see it in the quarterly filing. So, and of course, this information, well, it can be released before the quarter. It usually comes alongside the quarter. So, there's nothing really to see over here. It's just so you can get attention, you can get eyeballs on the stock. So this is one of the types of 8Ks that you may encounter that are not as juicy as other types of 8Ks, in our opinion.
Very good, very good. Any other examples you prepared for us?
Yeah, I prepared one more, which is this one, Artificial Intelligence Technology Solutions Inc. The ticker is AITX.
For some reason, I have a feeling that this AI is doing pretty well. The stock is very liquid. Something is telling me. I might be wrong.
Let's go ahead and take a look. So let's look at it daily over the last month. Yeah.
Let's look.
$200,000 worth of shares just traded.
Let's look at 1 year. Did they change the name recently? Something tells me that in the past 48 months, they probably changed their name.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Let's go ahead and let's look at it year to date.
And the reason I'm saying that is because I have a feeling that, not a feeling, but I've seen it happen often that when there is like a very niche, exciting market, some of the companies, when crypto is high, a lot of the companies somehow trying to relate themselves into crypto. And when AI is very hot, then some of those companies are trying to relate themselves into AI to create more hype, to create more pump into the stock. So something is telling me that they did change their name.
And actually, most of the companies on the OTC markets, small micro companies, they've been around the block. I'd say they've been public companies since the 90s. So they went public for one reason. It didn't work, and the company became a shell. Years later, someone takes it over. It doesn't work, and it becomes a shell again. And a lot of public vehicles get tossed around in the marketplace. So if we look at some of these stocks, they've been public for 20, 30 years. And over the 30 years, they've changed business like 5 or 6 times. So maybe if we go into the stock, we're going to see that AITX was a very different business 5 years ago and a massively different business 10 years ago. And it's kind of one of these situations, funny situations that happen in the OTC markets. I don't think I've seen them, at least on the blue chip stocks, on the NASDAQ stocks. I don't think that's it's as common as it is on the OTC markets. But as we can see over here, the stock is very liquid. And to Ari's point, it most likely has to do with the fact that the company is involved with artificial intelligence. So someone looks at it and says, that's good. That's AI. I want to invest. Now, whether the company is actually involved in AI or just has artificial intelligence in the name, that's 2 very different things, right? And you have to look into the company to see what they're actually doing. And some of these companies, they just change the name just to get attention. They just put crypto on the name. What do? They don't do anything related to crypto, but there's crypto on the name. And that attracts eyes, attracts, money. So, things to look out for when you're investing in OTC traded companies. So, there's a lot of liquidity on the stock, as we can see, going back even to January 2025. Look, January 7, it traded over $1 million. January 6, again, $3 million, $1 million. So, and you can see over here the VWAP, the price increased substantially. So January 2, it was 0025, and then 0031, then 0043, and then, kind of stayed at the 003 level, and it just went down back to where it is right now, which is kind of 0015, 001 level. So just an interesting side note to this. But going back to the 8K, again, another label, other events, this type of label, again, it's not as juicy as other labels of the 8K. And if we would read into it, so on May 21st, 2025, the company, we will be issuing, so it's future dated, so that's interesting, a press release titled AITX expands in 50 billion security markets as AI replaces the security staff. Okay, so we can see that the company's at least trying to get into the AI business. Again, as the previous example, this is not really telling us that much, and if you ask me, it's actually telling us less than the last 8K, because at least the last 8K was talking about actual results, actual things that happened in Q1. Here, they're only saying that they're going to be expanding into a market. Now, whether they do that successfully or not, it remains to be seen. So it looks to me like they're just trying to cash in on the AI hype. Like, oh, we're going to go into AI. Yes, we're going to. When? They don't even say when. They just say they're going to, right? So again, it's just another type of 8K. These types of 8Ks are done to just catch attention.
I think Joey
so-
wanted to say something.
So I'm not even looking at the content of what he's saying, in the press release or what they do, or $50 billion security market or whatnot. Just the timing of the 8K is a question that I'd love to understand. So they filed this 8K the same day that they issue the press release saying that they will be issuing the press release.
Yeah.
It's very, very creative. Because good, think about it. Now, unlike the last company we were just talking about that filed a press release, or put out a press release, and not till a week later was there an 8K saying that they put the press release. These guys are actually doing it simultaneously, or if you're reading it correctly, and this is how the actual avenue and timing went, this went down first.
Yeah.
So if you're getting a notification that 8K is going to be coming out, I think that might give you an edge. Because people that aren't getting that 8K don't know that a press release is going to be coming out.
Yeah. And also, like, this company has been around the block. We've seen it. It's in every investor board everywhere. And we know that this company is, let's call it, a serial 8K filer. So the company is used to filing 8Ks left and right, like every other day, if not every day, there's an 8K filed. Now, what's the point of that? It's arguable. One would say, hey, it's good. They're disclosing, they're disclosing as much as possible. And after looking at the contents of this 8K, I would disagree. But again, like we talked about it last week. The 8K is also a way to catch attention, to draw attention to the stock, to the company, to what the company's doing. So maybe the point of filing the 8K is as regularly as the company does, is to catch eyeballs, just to get as many eyeballs as they can on the stock, to buy it, to sell it, to whatever. And as we can see over here in the liquidity, at least we can tell that it's working. Like, we don't know. It's very hard to determine the exact cause for something. Like, we cannot say for certain that the 8Ks, the filing of the 8Ks, it's what's driving the liquidity up. Maybe it has to do with the name. Maybe they're doing good business. Maybe it's only so high because they keep filing 8Ks left and right. But this is something that you're going to encounter, these types of 8Ks that they're not saying really that much. There's no there's no real substance here. They're not even talking about the company or something that the company is already doing. It's talking about something that the company is going to be doing in the future. And, talk is cheap. So they can say whatever they want. They can say that they're going to go into the quantum computing. Whether they're going to do it, remains to be seen. So this is
So what you're saying is Joy needs to put his bar mitzvah money into this company.
Look, at least the liquidity is there.
I think he should put it when the 8K comes out. And get out by the time the press release comes out.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Yeah. So this is, I brought these three examples just to kind of show you the different types of 8Ks. There are a lot, and we can talk endlessly about the different types of 8K and the different types of information that they have, whether they're good or bad. There was a scandal. Well, I'm not sure if to call it a scandal, but there was a problem that happened a couple of months ago, if not a year ago, with one of the accounting firms that are very present in the microcap space. They got their license removed. So all the companies that had been audited by them, they had to restate their financials again with a new auditing firm. So that was a material event. So you could see when that happened, there were tons of 8Ks from companies that were involved with them, disclosing to investors like, hey, our auditing firm got their license removed, and we're going to have to restate the filings, the financials. And then you have to look and think, well, how does that affect me? How does that affect the stock? And it has a lot of repercussions, a situation like that. You're talking about obligations under the Securities Act. You're talking about listing. Like if it's a NASDAQ listed company, they might get delisted. So it has a lot of different paths that it can take. And when you look at the 8K, at that particular type of 8K, you kind of have to think to yourself, how is that going to bite me? How is that going to affect me? And what's that going to happen in the future? What's the repercussion of this? And like that, there are various types of 8K that we can talk about. But at the end of the day, it matters when you get the 8K. I think especially the 8Ks are pieces of information that you need to get as quickly as possible. The quarterlies, yes, they are, of course, but the quarterlies, just by definition, they're already a look in the past. They get filed I think it's a month after the quarter end. So it's already a look in the past, the quarters and the annuals. The 8Ks are current, are now. It's what's happening now, or what happened a week ago, or happened 4 days ago, or like we see right here, what's going to happen immediately. So it's crucial for investors to read the 8Ks to get them as they get filed. And so we think that David Sling being able to get the 8Ks in time as they're filed is very important, and it can lead to making money or losing money. Right, so we think that's getting 8Ks early it's crucial for investors.
Love it, Paulo. That was great. Thank you for preparing this. I think unless Joey want to say something else, Joey or David, I think we can sum it up.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah, it's just like we keep talking and we keep repeating, but we repeat it because it's important. Investing, it's an information game at the end of the day. And, you can either have more or less information or get the information quickly or slowly, but it's an information game. So just stay informed, read your 8Ks, put it on the alert. Every company that you have in your portfolio, put it in David Sling so you can get alerted when this happens. But whatever you do, stay informed. I guess that's kind of the summary of today's podcast.
Awesome, guys. So that was awesome. And that was great. I'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
The information in this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Nothing shared here should be considered investing, legal, or financial advice. Please do your own research or consult with a professional before making any financial decisions.